2023 regular Brookline Select Board meeting. The time is 6:33. Present in the room are Select Board members Paul Madalinsky, Samara Zwick, Stan Noga, Peter Smello, myself, Dot Maggio, our recording clerk, Vanessa Ballou, our highway supervisor, Mark Bills. On Fact TV, we see Oliver Ames, and I also see Chris Daly, and I think that is what we have currently at this time. Any changes to the agenda?
Other than those things that I had emailed, if you're willing to accept them at this point in time.
Yes, when you do your report or any other part of the select board, we can, that's where we'll fill that in.
Alrighty.
The changes to the agenda. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to introduce our scheduled member of the public, who's Oliver Ames. He, at the town party last month, at the 22nd, he came up and we talked a little bit, and he's interested to look at the mitigation. I thought if he came online tonight and introduced himself to the other select board members, tell us a little bit about yourself and what your aspirations are and how you'd like to help out the town.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Oliver Ames, 872 Grassy Brook Road. Yeah, like Dot said, got connected at the town party, and then with the flood on the 10th, just been trying to figure out how we can get more involved, my wife, Emily, and myself. And then Chris Daly and her wife, Leah, live across the street from us. So we're really just relatively new to town and just trying to get involved with the planning commission for me personally, and then more broadly in any way that we can, whether it's in the mitigation area post flood or with roads. And we know there's a lot going on in the town, and as Dot mentioned to me, a little short staffed in certain areas. So excited to lean in and help in any way we can. But Dot, I guess in terms of just next steps, I was just curious, you sort of alluded to it when we spoke, but like with the planning commission, like what does that process look like in terms of formally joining that? And then when are you thinking of kicking off kind of the planning cycle?
All right, Samara, she's got her hand up.
I have my hand up because I was asked to look into what was going on with our planning commission by August 1st at our last meeting. And we are definitely looking for new planning commission members. The best person to get in contact with to find out about it is Barbara Bourne. I can give you her phone number. It's 802-365-4145. Now, originally there were, I won't give you the whole background. There were 3 members on it. I think I'm going to hop on the commission as the board liaison, if that's all right with everybody. Okay. And it's, and I will give Barb's number is 802-365.
Yep, I got it. We spoke at the party as well. I'll definitely connect with her.
Okay, just let her know you're interested. What we've talked about, because one of the board members has young children, one of the commission members has younger children. And so we're figuring we're going to plan to start up in September, but we want to get it on everyone's calendar soon. So I tried to call Charlie Ezekiel, but he didn't answer. So I'll email him and then I'll try again. I talked to Dan Klitgard and he apologizes that he doesn't really have time. You were right, Stan, but I think it's always good to talk to people. So I was glad I did. And he said he wants to help in the future. He thought he would have more time. I don't know, did you meet Dan at the town party?
Yeah, he lives just up Parker Road from us. We know them well. So yeah, that sounds great. I think I only have one other question, Dot and team, just before we get to the next agenda item, which is, I've started engaging a bit with hazard mitigation just because FEMA came out to our house and we filed like an individual homeowner claim with them. But in terms of like best process for sort of engaging with the state And like from the town perspective and the homeowner perspective, like, do you have any thoughts there? I completely understand that September makes sense for the town to kick off the planning cycle, but in terms of like the FEMA, like major disaster timing, like the time is of the present.
Earlier, that's started already, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Stan, you were at a FEMA workshop, and we have how many days since the disaster to go for the town?
We have to register with FEMA for the latest disaster within 30 days from the disaster declaration date. And that date was the 14th of July. So I haven't counted on the calendar what's going to constitute 30 days in August, but it's somewhere around the 13th, 14th, or 15th that we in fact have to register.
Which we will, it's a checklist.
So at the meeting yesterday, the lady who heads it, the Vermont Emergency Management Division, left the email to contact. I emailed her today. I've gotten some answers back. The town needs to get the two individuals that the VEM and FEMA can contact. I believe Dot's gonna be one. I'm willing to be the other if there's no other volunteer. I have attended a few minutes.
Yep.
Meetings, that is. So if all goes well, I would hope to be able to do that tomorrow or Friday. We got to provide them with our SAMS number, our tax filing number, and a copy of the town's insurance policy that covers general damage and so on and so forth. And that should take, I would imagine, several minutes.
Yeah.
And so we'll then be so-called registered. From that date and time, assuming it's tomorrow or Friday, generally within 14 days from that date, the town will get a call from FEMA, a 5-minute phone call, setting up a date and time to meet with the individuals in town that are going to be handling, interfacing with FEMA. And they'll set up a date to come in, and then all of the data that we thus far have collected, in terms of Mark has sat down and Dot's prepared an input sheet to document the hours, the location, the longitude, GPS readings, etc. They will come in and input all that data for every single site that had damage in the town of Brookline and get the process going. They appear to be a little more time sensitive than in the past. Their software now has a little icon up in the upper right-hand corner, if I remember this correctly. And when you see that lit, it's either red, pink, or yellow, you click on it and it'll tell you what it needs and what date you need it for. And they're now, if you don't get it to them by the date and time, you can't put it in. It's like if we don't get in and it registered in that 30-day time period, which we will, they will not allow you a second opportunity to register.
Yeah, I've gotten that sense as well, and I just want to be as supportive as I can, just because I know that it's pretty strict.
So I wouldn't anticipate you getting further contact unless you were promised differently by the people that visited you for another 3, possibly 4 weeks.
Yeah, that sounds good. Do you feel, Dot, like you've gotten all the documentation from our neck of the woods that was pretty badly hit that you need to register and sort of enter the next phase?
Yeah, I know Mark has gone around town with AOT. Did he go around?
Yeah.
Mark went around with the Agency of Transportation about a week, 10 days ago. And they looked at certain areas and estimated the town damage to be approximately 30 to 40,000.
20 to 30.
$20,000 to $30,000. And it doesn't include any mitigation. And what we're looking for is, and as you requested, to upsize some culverts and such, which would be in addition to. So we hope to be able to once we get the initial part done, we look at mitigation. Since the road did not collapse, that would have put a new culvert in much easier, but the road didn't collapse. And so now it would mean to deconstruct the road to do it. So they would look at that a little bit differently. And so that's what we have to convince them. And you sent us some great pictures. So it's obviously that your house and Chris Daly's house, which we went past that day, is pretty significantly hit.
That sounds great.
Last Friday, met with a gentleman here at the town office. He frankly didn't have a lot of specific knowledge. His basic function was to have a face here in town to just say they're interested in hearing what happened, et cetera, et cetera. And in the conversation with him, with you in mind, I pursued a particular avenue that he had mentioned. And I hope I'm not disclosing this prematurely, but he didn't commit to anything, but he did say that there is a program through FEMA where your utilities are in so-called the basement, and it would behoove a homeowner who's had damage to move them up to the first floor. They will consider funding that particular change to the house. He also said that if it's a reoccurring scenario, which I believe your property is,
Yep.
they would be willing to entertain the concept of lifting up a house 2 feet. I don't know if that would put you out of danger or whether you'd still be in danger, but when I heard that,
Yeah, that's fantastic. We had 6 inches of,
I'd let you know that.
yeah, we had 6 inches of water in the first floor, so 2 feet would be the difference.
Okay.
I would love to continue to pursue that avenue in particular. That sounds pretty unique, and I think Chris and Leah would feel the same way.
So we appreciate your interest and certainly could use an extra set of brains here and there for helping us get through some of these, this paperwork and such. So I think that would be
Yeah, that sounds great. I'll reach out to Barbara and just let us know how we can help.
Yeah, just,
One shed of light. I got an email this afternoon from Wyndham Regional, Margot Gia, who wanted to interface with Samara and myself on the hazard mitigation thing and Dot.
the brick grant.
No, yes, it is. It's relevant. That's the funding of what it is, but they had the hazard mitigation update plan. She wants to start on in August if possible.
That you would
so
also.
that would be something that would be kind of, think of it like a separate committee of the planning, in the planning area. So I don't.
Well,
see-
hazard mitigation.
Hazard mitigation,
Not
so
planning.
if he's interested, I don't see why we couldn't include him, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's I feel like you do,
Yeah, the more the
That sounds
merrier.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
because I think that hazard mitigation plan is something that's done every 5, 6, 7 years.
It's 5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so it's time for us to look at the whole town, not just this particular storm.
Yeah, of course.
So
Putney
that's-
Mountain, all the different areas. Yeah, that we would love to be involved with that, and sounds like in this case, good timing.
Yeah, they very much overlap, so you'd be instrumental in involvement in both categories.
Right, and we have a grant that would help with the Wyndham region
sorry, Samara.
supporting the process of putting out that grant. And if you happen to go to the Newfane website, they just completed their hazard mitigation plan and we reviewed it. It's approximately 87 pages long. The town of Brookline has a slightly outdated hazard mitigation plan because we're under contract for it, but we haven't started it yet. It's gonna start this month.
Could I get involved with that in some way, shape, or form?
We would love to.
Absolutely.
yes.
Do we have your contact information?
I
I
did.
believe so, but what would,
I think I saw it on the 211 summary that the Vermont Emergency Management sent out.
yeah,
So
I did.
do
I
have your
definitely
contact.
filled that out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let me know how to sort of get off the ground with that and get involved. And thank you for the time and the warm welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Can I just say one thing?
Mark wanted to add something. Mark?
So just before I got here tonight, I got a phone call from Kim Ring and he had called and found out he could register for damage at Floodbrook School. They have a registration.
Yes,
Sign up for
But
it.
that's for individuals, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
And
So
that's,
he went up there and they're meeting him tomorrow morning between 10:30 and 11 on his dad's bridge
Okay.
to determine.
where did you say, at what school?
Floodbrook School in Londonderry,
Floodbrook School.
yeah, Route 11.
For
West
registration.
of-
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
a
I think they moved. They used to be going out of town
okay,
towards,
this
I
is
don't know.
off topic.
So the topic is a damaged structure that's both in the town right away and private. And so I'm going for curiosity to see what this FEMA representative has to offer.
Yeah.
For the homeowner as well as the town.
All right, because you'd be involved in the mitigation plan anyway, so that would be information.
Thank you, Mark, that's a good
All
idea.
right, so we all try to pull our weight where we can and show up at different areas. It would great that we can share the effort towards this.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, nice to see you. Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
Any other unscheduled members?
Does Chris have a question or so?
No,
No,
it's
okay.
not here.
Okay, if not, we'll move on to reviewing the minutes from July 19th, 2023, which I just had. Okay, any edits on page 1 of 5? What's going on? What they were asking. Any edits on page 2 of
I
5?
have a question
Yes, you have a question?
on the payroll order, pay orders, B, payroll warrant 2403, is that right?
403, and the
Are we considered in 24?
I'm looking at payroll
No,
order
that's just-
2405.
is the numbering, the numbering,
For the payroll.
yeah, it's the numbering of the payroll.
So
So
that's what,
Are you sure it's 303? Because one I got in the email is 05.
This is he's looking at.
The minutes,
Yeah.
minutes, I'm
it
sorry.
should be 2304, 2403.
That's how we- that's-
Yes, yes, yes,
It's
yeah,
correct.
yes, I'm
sorry,
sorry.
move on.
I'm sorry, I'm in another world here, I'm sorry.
Anything on page 3 of 5?
I had one thing, just in, number 7, item C.
Planning commission.
Yes, standing, SN recommended scheduling a meeting on August 1st if possible.
That
What,
is, you're right.
well, you were, what Dan Noga recommended, I contact Dan Klitgard by August 1st,
Good catch. I thought that I had that and I
and they did.
misplaced it.
Recommended contacting Dan Clickguard by August 1st.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because otherwise it sounds like you recommended scheduling a planning commission meeting, and it
Right,
wasn't
right.
correct. Which might upset the planning commission because,
Why there's a pause. I did a noon lunch meeting with BLCT. They frown on select board members being on a planning committee. They
Well-
want us to stay away and out, but we can participate. We have to be careful.
I hear you, because I know, because we have to approve it as well.
Yes.
But
yes.
I will not, I will either recuse I can
I know you will.
mind my P's and Q's,
I know.
but until they get more people, I
There you
thought I would volunteer to
Yes.
be involved.
Any items on page 4 of 5? Any items on page 5 of 5? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented with that one edit for Wednesday, July 19th, 2023, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
You need a second.
Oh, second,
Yes.
make a motion. Who would second it? Oh, seconded by Bruce. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Thank you, Vanessa. You're good. That's what Peter
Yeah.
Harris would always do.
Hey.
So you forgot to do this.
Getting pretty official and formal. Right on.
All right, accounts payable warrant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to approve accounts payable warrant 2406 dated August 2nd, 2023 in the amount of $12,815.79. May I have a second?
Second. Yep.
Seconded by Stan. Any discussion?
The only thing I noted, because I'm watching it and this doesn't affect the amounts, there are two things I noted. One, that there are some things in categories that I think need to be reclassed. So for example, the one I caught is Nemrick, New England Nemrick bills are been charged to computer service maintenance. They used to have their own annual
Yes,
licensing fee. It's so, I don't think that impacts it, and I am happily, it's within my particular skill set to go
Mhm.
talk to the treasurer and get these corrected.
thank you.
Additionally, I want to make sure that they're separating out FEMA contract stuff. If not in the ledger, then to keep a separate spreadsheet, because I noticed that a lot of the things are charged FEMA 21, FEMA 23, and it's the
Yes.
full amount. I'd like to make sure that they're separating them out, and I'll talk to Melissa. I don't care if it's in the ledger or if they can keep a separate spreadsheet. Either would be acceptable, I think.
Okay, sometimes we have been asked for copies of checks. And
The
so,
copies of checks you can give a copy of a check that's paying for two parts.
okay,
And I'm not clear that that's what's happening, or if it's just the way they didn't know which one it was. But I will talk to both Judy and Melissa and figure that out and make sure that it's clear. Because, and if you have a check that's payable for two projects, you supply them with the invoice and it will break out which part is which. And you can do that on a spreadsheet easily.
okay.
Great.
So,
Because I'm looking at the invoice itself and there are some notations on it. Yep.
yeah. So as long as we have
But it's clarified.
yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving accounts payable warrant 2406 in the amount of $12,815.79 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Hearing none, the motion passes. I'd like to make a motion to approve payroll warrant 2405 dated August 2nd, 2023 in the amount of $1,718.80. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Stan. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving payroll warrant 2405 for $1,718.80 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm gonna pass it around. I'm sorry, I forgot to pass it around. It's one and the other.
We're learning. You're not used to having,
You didn't have to put it there.
I know.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next item here is under new business. I don't know, maybe I should have put it under unfinished business because on page 2 of 5 of the minutes from the July 19th, we tabled further discussion for purchasing possibly purchasing a truck for the town. And so there was some discussion about what kind of process that we would do for purchasing additional equipment, where we would get funding from, so on and so forth. And if we were going to even pursue it, we probably need to vote whether or not we're even gonna follow through on that. I'll let everybody go. I just want to go through a couple of things. It's very easy for me to go and do a search, whether it be Craigslist or other sites for different pieces of equipment and trucks. You found one for 32 and I found one for
Marked it.
15 and I found one, the other one for 22.
Market.
Okay, I also want to point out that we don't always just have to think about purchasing a vehicle. There is the option, and I talked to Alta about purchasing a hydraulic lift on a trailer, and I did print out, if anybody wants to review it, what we're talking about, something that could be pulled behind a excavator. I know Mark using his personal vehicle is a concern of his. Now that we have a wheeled excavator, that really should be used to go around town after storms to review damages, because if something is damaged after a storm, to be in a piece of equipment that would repair it right away would be the most logical thing. So you wouldn't have to use your car for that. As far as bringing gravel, we don't expect you to be going to any gravel pit and selecting the gravel. That's the amount that we use is brought to the town yard. But if you could have something that was 3, 4, 5, or 6 cubic yards as a dump trailer, you could then attach it, you could fill it, put it on the back of your wheeled excavator, go to your site, chalk it, dump it, and do your repairs, the smaller repairs. We're not expecting you to do that. And so you can purchase anything from used for about $5,000 or $6,000 to brand new for about $12,000, 6 yards of gravel. So I do have that. There's several places within 50 miles here of Brookline. So I just wanted to say that is an option, and I think that if we do want to consider, instead of buying a 20 or 25-year-old vehicle, if we were just looking at doing the repairs, something also could be sold. We could buy it for cash with ARPA funds. I don't think we should be spending non-appropriated tax money on things. I think we need to repair our budget and not count on FEMA reimbursements to purchase anything. But that's my opinion, and as such, I will open the floor to other members. Anybody else want
You guys want to say something?
I'll go ahead. I guess my feeling about it is similar to yours, Dot. I also feel pretty strongly that until we have an additional well, there's 2 ways to go about it. There are several people in town who have dump trucks, Archie, Sanborn, Tanner, why not? So I don't know that it's necessary for most instances to have another dump truck, that the town own it. And because if Mark is driving the excavator, he obviously can't do the truck at the same time unless he's discovered a way to clone himself. And so there should be a separate person, I think, to go with any new equipment. That's just what I think. The other thing that I also think we need to do is do an analysis of how many miles are actually utilized, how much of it is going to be emergency work related, which would be covered potentially mostly by grant money, as opposed to just regular routine maintenance. And so would we really use a dump truck for routine maintenance in our town? I don't know, and I understand the need to haul gravel from time to time while you're working. And so the trailer sounds like a good option to me.
I guess along that line, I'd like to ask Mark if there were, how would that work? Would that work, having a trailer?
The trailer, I think the trailer would be a good asset. It'd be very usable to move anything around that needed moving. It definitely like be the cheaper choice of the two. The only thing that, I guess I could say, it would work on the level ground in Brookline, slight hills. Like Putney Mountain, it would probably, I don't know how much stress it would put on the excavator pulling extra weight or coming downhill with extra weight would be my only concern, but I do feel the trailer would be very handy. On the other side of the picture, basically, I guess in the future down the road, I was thinking of being able to use a town vehicle to check roads instead of my own vehicle, for wear and tear purposes. So the town of Athens, they have a very similar truck. Pretty much every town owns a smaller dump truck, and then they own the large dump trucks. And the town guys have to check their roads as often as I do to make sure they're passable and in good shape. And when they get to work, they take one of these 1-ton trucks and go out, check roads, and they carry saws and full equipment with it. So it's a common piece of equipment that most towns do own. And
Is it something, one other thing I thought of is, and this was something that was actually suggested by Chris Campany, is that our small towns that don't have the budgets that larger towns have, or towns with larger tax bases have.
right,
Have we considered, can we work out agreements to share resources?
well,
So,
that would be a nice feature as well. I'm all for that. Just one more argument that on the town as far as owning a used light duty dump truck. It's approximately 30 miles one check whenever I go out on the roads to check the roads both directions. You have to come back as well as go, so it equivalates to approximately 30 miles one way. And so I do utilize small amounts of material, which when I need that, I can't really have a large truck deliver a yard or two. So that would be a benefit to a trailer or a small truck. In comparison, I don't know, most trucks in the past, I know we got $75 an hour for a trucking fee, and I believe it's gone up to 100, or bigger trucks maybe more. But on an average, if you hired one of the local same trucks from a local vendor for an 8-hour day at $100 an hour, that's $800 a day. If you own the truck.
but how many days would we need that truck?
Every day.
At $800 a day for 365 days a year?
No, I'm saying if you hired a truck out, I'm just giving this as an example,
Right,
8 hours in a day. And yes, there would be a lot of days I could utilize one right now with the FEMA repairs. But I'm just saying, if you rented one day and it was 800, and there was lots of other days, we would still need the same truck.
right.
$800 a month is a lot less than $800 a day.
I see what you're saying as far as the cost.
Yeah, and if we had it, it could be used in many ways to pull.
Well, there's no doubt that it would be an asset. We're just concerned right now
Yeah,
that we
no,
may
I-
not be able to fund to do that this time.
Right,
I'd like
no,
to
I
continue
understand
getting survey, and then maybe having two select boards, so we don't have a quorum, really do some deep research on this. And I think it might be something that would need to go on the warrant town meeting.
Yeah, what I think is if people come up with potential costs and we have hard numbers, then I'm happy to do the financial analysis,
Right.
because the analysis, I mean, I've gone through it before. And, you know, you have to consider, in addition to the ownership, depreciation, registration, upkeep, insurance, there's
Right.
maintenance,
Yeah.
fuel costs. You
Right.
know, these are all things that when you rent it, most of them are covered, probably not fuel costs, but. So I just think there needs to be a more concrete analysis done.
I've done.
And I'm concerned
where
about
is it?
if
Oh, wait till-
using, if we used ARPA funds, that would be one straightforward way
That would
of
be,
doing it.
yeah.
But if we're doing non-budgeted appropriations from other categories, I don't think that would fly very well personally.
I think you're right.
But
I feel like, Samara does, and apparently you, an analysis, black and white figures. That would be the appropriate way to really pass judgment on any process that's put in place.
Yeah, and Dot, can I ask a quick question? Just how soon, what's the deadline for using the ARPA funds?
2016 or 2026.
2026.
Yeah,
Thanks.
December 30th.
So I mean, that's. Yeah, I'd like to see a black and white analysis.
Right, and like I said, you can anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000, you can get a trailer depending upon 2024 or a used one for my flat.
If you get a used one, you know, that I've been kind of loosely keeping track of figures over the last couple of years. And if there was one that was reasonable, it probably would pay for itself or pretty darn near the first year. So, you know, on the other hand, you know, the concept of, well, how many days we really need it, you know, the kinds of questions that Samara just brought up are critical.
Right, no, I mean, I would use it, instead of my vehicle, to check roads, which it's basically every 3 to 5 days. So it would be checking roads as well as, use for hauling material.
Yeah.
And I realize, you know, you can't run one and run the other, but, the other day, I did a repair on Parker Road, which I used my bicycle to
Oh, wow.
going back to the
I
other.
thought you looked more healthy.
I had them both at the same site, and at the end of the day, traveled both of them back, so. But again, my dad used to help me a lot when needed. And I do have people that have asked, you know, if you ever need a hand per day or 2 days or whatever.
Can you identify some people? Because my thought would be, if we can get them into the employee system.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that would be ideal, in my view, because I know your dad used to help you and he can't now.
Right?
So you should pick someone new.
Yeah, no, I've got a few people in mind that, when the timing is right, that we need them.
Yeah, and if you wanna, like, to me, I would explore it now and find out how much time they are willing to be available. And then we can get them into the system and make sure all their paperwork is done.
And then you can call on them as
And
needed.
then it won't be like a fire drill to get them on board,
Right?
thinking like an administrative person.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an excellent idea.
Okay, okay. It's quite clear to me, and I hope it is to everybody else, that when we had town meeting, that man over there deserves no permit other than a wheelbarrow. Excuse me. I went through COVID vaccine, so I'm still coming out of it, so.
Sorry.
If I don't speak loud enough, just tell me, because I'm feeling that great. Had no food in me the whole day, either. Whatever, I'll deal with that, I'm going on reserves. There's some things here, I wrote down some notes here of things I agree with and a bunch I don't agree with. The first thing I agree with, and Samara has addressed it quite strongly, and you have in the past, is Mark having a second person. I'm kind of pissy about that. Because if he doesn't have any backup, and we get into it, I guess from a safety standpoint, I think he needs a second man, and we need a budget for that when we come around to budget time in the fall. Okay, couple things I really Okay, renting from others. I don't like that at all. To me, that's just, from a cost standpoint, doesn't make any sense at all. Because if we were to buy that particular truck that Mark had found, which would be $550 a month payment, we're looking at $6,000 he used to pay for just cutting the grass. And that money could come out of summer services, summer contract services fund. We've got a fund of $36,000 for next year. And in light that we have Mark with the excavator, that's gonna go down a lot.
So you're saying get a loan?
Yep. We're looking at $550 a month. And I think that based on
how long, what's the
5
dollar?
years, it was 5.5%. I don't know if it's changed. I talked to the guy yesterday, but I didn't ask him again. What if the interest rates changed? Of course, the Feds bumped it another 0.25% last week. So I don't know the exact percentage rate, but it's in that ballpark.
Financing what amount?
You can finance the whole thing. You don't have to put it down.
But what is the dollar amount that would be financed? How can they come up with $500 unless you know the amount financed to begin with?
What's the
I
total
consider-
cost?
That's what I
And
just
or the
said.
total
I
cost.
base it on $33,000.
Okay,
100%, without working them on the price, without any down, just
And did this person or entity give you anything in writing?
not on the financing, but Mark got what was it, like a sales agreement that was back in Maine. He's still using this truck, which is in beautiful shape. I'm gonna dovetail off for a second, because Dot also found the truck on Craigslist.
Yeah, I got a couple.
Okay, well, what I did is I sent the copy of your email to Mark. So Mark, what do you think of this? And Mark, you can answer to, you know what I'm talking about. So respond to that one. That's in Rutland.
Yeah, so coincidentally, my sister went there to purchase a vehicle.
Oh,
A
raise,
couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Ron's auto.
Ron's.
And so I offered her the ride up while she purchased her vehicle, and when I got there, we did the deal and she got her plates on, went to drive away. I said, I just want to go over and look at this truck, and
Oh, you saw it?
it happened to be that one.
Ah.
And I thought, boy, that's a sharp truck. I'd like that for town work, and I went over and looked at it close under it, and it was too far gone. It's rusted.
Too far.
Very rusted, the cab I don't think it would go 5 years.
Okay, interesting. And again, there's another one
It
here.
looks great, but it's evidently been installed.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
That one I didn't share.
So
Okay, that
So
one.
me, the idea of sharing or renting from others is special. Both of them have arguments that I don't like. The renting from others, of course, Archie or whatever, here we go back to the same problem that we've always had, where we spend too much money on out servicing our equipment, when if we owned it, it would be a lot less expensive. That's the first thing. Now, the sharing part, I really don't like, because what happens if we have another hurricane? What happens if we have another disaster? And ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have it. We've already had 3 in the last 2 years. It's gonna happen again. And so that means we're gonna share our vehicle with Newfane or Townsend or somebody else. Well, if they're gonna use it, oh, well, we can't have it now.
I think it's worth having a conversation.
What's that?
I think it's worth having a conversation with other towns.
Okay. I'm just saying, for $550 a month, we can get that man a truck with, what was it, 64,000 miles on it?
54 was the last.
Clean as a
Be
whistle,
able to share personnel, for heaven's sake.
dump body.
Depend on the
It
agreement.
depends on if they want to do it in an emergency, who are they gonna take care of first? I keep looking at it as a vision, that if we have a problem, who's gonna help us? Oh, we're gonna have to start renting out equipment again, and these big major costs. But if we set ourselves up in a correct way, and I'd like Mark, if a little bit more, if you could clarify to everybody the difference between a trailer behind in terms of use and what you could use it for, compared to the dump body that you've looked at, the versatility part. No,
So, yeah, I believe they would both be competitive, both very good benefits, just, the truck is probably rated more for being loaded up and down hills where I'm not so sure on the excavator with that much more weight. When you come to a hill with the excavator, it gears way down and is slow and holding back coming downhill is also another feature where I'm not sure extra weight behind it pushing would be good for it. I mean, down here on the valley, where the Brookline, it would probably work well. Yeah,
Okay, but the versatility, go ahead, Mark.
I just wanted to say one other thing that came to my mind is because we get our most of our gravel materials from our local vendors, the A.S. Clark family, they give us a better deal on material as well as trucking because they're local. If we go out of town, then we're paying extra trucking and extra for materials to be delivered. The Clarks they're not open to the public for gravel sales. It's mostly for their own personal usages. So they've allowed me to go in their pit to get materials that I need for repairs. But I don't know if they would just let anybody else truck out of there for the town.
Well,
Being,
we wouldn't expect them to.
No,
well, I'm just saying, you know, if we were to
well,
use other
Then,
vendors equipment to go to their pit.
what if we could work out a deal like with someone like Tanner Wynot or Sam Bourne, who both have dump trucks?
but
Here we go
also,
again.
A.S. Clark might work out something for us as
Yes,
well.
or with
Yeah.
Right,
Archie,
they're.
I said
Yeah,
there's
I
three
do utilize the
options.
Clarks a lot.
Three
for
people.
Delivered gravel.
$550
Yeah, I rely
a
on
month, we have our own
them
dump
heavily.
truck,
That
like
would
brand new.
require putting it
$550
together.
a month, that's it. We
Okay,
run the
so-
whole,
Okay, we
It's
heard.
enough.
we run the roofs on the town,
Oh.
we run the roofs if we own the truck. If we start relying on other people, it costs more and we're at their whim, end of story, that's my
We'll do
argument.
an analysis and we'll see if you're right. You know,
Dan?
There was a comment made at one of the last two select board meetings that I think you were under the impression that we needed to go to the town to get an approval for this kind of thing. And I believe Bruce said, no, we don't. I did go back and look and research that a little bit. I did find a printout. Yeah, I think if we go 5 years, we're gonna have to go to the town to get an approval.
Under 5 years.
If I read, but you're saying 5 years.
Under 5 years are under.
Under 5 years,
Right
so it's
there.
gotta be less than 5 years.
Well, it says,
So anyway, yeah, for a loan. So, I guess other than saying that if it is less than 5 years in term, you can do it without having to go to the townspeople to get it,
I
that
do,
option. And I'm not saying that we should do that.
right,
I'd like to see the figures of an analysis
if
first.
the improvements or assets are to be financed for a term of 5 years or less,
5 years exactly on that.
or less.
Okay,
I just want to make sure that we are very responsible because, well, we are trying to be, but you know, we have a lot of this FEMA money we haven't gotten in, and I don't want us to be like looking to pigeonhole it in other areas. I want to make sure it goes back to the areas that we took the money from, like repaid the paving account, repaid, because we overextended ourselves the past couple of years because we did not have an emergency fund, and I think that's something that we will do when we do
That
budget
has
this year.
nothing to do
That
with
has to get changed.
That has nothing to do with this.
No, I'm just saying, as long as you're not looking at taking FEMA money for it, that was my
No.
concern.
In fact,
So-
that's another argument, discussion.
So right now, I'd
What
like
do we
to,
have?
I'd like to charge a committee. Is there two select board members that would like to get involved in doing research on the financial,
What's their research, like, be
Well-
specific, what's their research?
well, to research additional equipment and research the cost of maintenance, looking at Samara, what else?
I can do the spreadsheet if other people give me the numbers. So for example, we know the cost of the truck, the interest rate.
Mhm. I'll recall them
We
to.
need
to
to know,
clarify
we
the
need
interest
to know
rates.
how much fuel it uses. I can call,
You can get all that.
I can,
Well, I can't do
some,
the consumption part. but I
somebody can call VLCT Passive and get, how much would it cost to insure it?
Mhm.
You know, we can get the insurance cost, and then I can do a sheet that calculates depreciation on the truck, and then I need some hard truck rental numbers, which I'll have to call a company and do that. I can do it. I
Do you
can't
wanna
do
work
it
on
this week.
it tomorrow?
Well, I already done the work, except for,
Okay, you gotta-
yeah,
Then
except
share.
for the truck rental.
But,
And then present it.
Yeah.
I would like to see some numbers like we did when we were looking at the
Excavate.
excavator.
Yeah, like something like, yeah, or
Yeah.
just, yeah, send me your resources and I'll,
Who
Crunch
did
some
you talk
numbers.
with? Who, and what company? There are other things regarding a loan that one needs to look out for. I mean, the prepayment
Yeah.
penalties.
How about
those
that
kinds of
purchase
things.
policy?
Prepaid penalty.
Yeah.
That's gone by the wayside, hasn't it? Sam?
Pretty much, but I wouldn't sign something unless I
Of course
clearly
not.
saw that it wasn't there.
Of course.
So the comment
I can
is,
answer
it's a
that.
justifiable question to ask. We may get an answer that's satisfying, we may get an answer that's not, depending on who we are dealing with for a lender. That's all I'm saying, nothing more, nothing less.
And purchase policy, let me ask a question about that. Where does that stand?
Second.
the purchase policy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
You don't have to
Well,
worry about when you're buying equipment for, road equipment for the town.
yeah, we probably should look at our purchasing policy. Because we might need to get bids or something. We might need to,
Set up, that's what they did for, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen ads in the paper from other towns that have done just that, looking for equipment. Yeah, it's an
bids for
RFP that appears in the
equipment. If
paper.
we might have to try and get 3 different
Yeah.
prices.
Well, we
Yeah.
advertise for the prices. You
There
may
you go.
not get,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
may
yeah,
not
I
get
know.
3
You may
different.
not
And
get
you can
them.
take that RFP and hand deliver it to any dealer,
Yeah.
or car salesman that you know, including the one that has this
That's a good
vehicle.
concern, a good question.
I have one question about
Go ahead.
this, the truck, and that's, well, in the past, what I've seen happen when Mark's worked on our road is Archie will come with the gravel, dump it, and then Mark will go with the grader and grade. So what's broken down with that system? I mean,
Broken down.
No.
yeah, I mean,
That's-
what's changed?
That's a great setup that we have with the Clarks, making arrangements to meet me on where I choose to apply gravel. I'm talking about when we don't need
A back truck full.
bulk loads of gravel.
Yeah.
just Small repairs. We're in this program right now where the state's requiring us to stone line all of our ditches that are hazardous for erosion. It's a Clean Water Act, and by the year 2025, I believe, we have a map of the whole town with priority segments. Everything's broken down into 300-foot sections. And each year we have to comply and do a certain amount of these segments, re-ditch them correctly, no berms, and apply this ditch stone that doesn't erode. So,
Those big trucks have to bring it in.
well, yes, there's times the big trucks can bring it in, and there's a lot of places where the big truck's too big to be there, and the small truck would be handy. A lot of towns buy their material in bulk, deliver it to their town yard, and then they shuttle it from there to where they need it. So we're actually getting a good deal by having Clark's delivered. Now, another argument is during this July 14th flood we had, the Clark family was working on a scheduled box culvert in the town of Jamaica, had all their equipment and trucks were up there working. So I didn't even see Archie for the first 3 weeks after, just phone conversations to see how things were going and some input. So they're not always available on demand. It's something I have to wait for their schedule to meet mine. So I try to be accommodating whenever they give me
$5.50 a month, we have our own
the
truck.
opportunity. The other thing I just wanna, throw it out there, and again, I'm not pushing you to run out and spend all the town's money, but, that someday I was in hopes I wouldn't have to use my own personal vehicle
Think.
as a town vehicle. I check the roads, I buy the gas, I do get reimbursed, 68 cents a mile, I believe,
62.5 cents per
62
mile.
and a half.
No, we're not
So-
something.
It went up, this year it went up, yeah.
So the price of gas is $3.62 or whatever. And so it doesn't really pay for the gas. It doesn't pay for my brakes, my tires, my front end alignments, my, you know.
Yeah,
sliding in and
I'm
out
using your
stuff.
personal vehicle. You should buy his personal vehicle as
So
well.
I don't get any kickback for the wear and tear. I'm in and out the door 100 times a day, slamming the door, sliding across the seat. Wearing the seat out, the ignition. A lot of times I don't shut the truck off. I leave it running with the flashers going in the truck. And so there's a lot of wear and tear on a personal vehicle that town doesn't have to pay for. So
No, I think that's a number one factor I realize, is that he really should, for 16 years, you've worked for the town,
I've
and he
had
hasn't, he's been using his
friends
personal
over
vehicle,
time.
so that's a concern.
Yeah,
Mark,
Well, it's got a cheaper pickup truck,
there you go. I
With
like
the-
that idea.
a cheaper pickup truck with a trailer.
no.
I mean, I'm just
I
throwing
know you're
out
just,
different
I know
ideas.
you're just dishing out there,
And
but in terms of cost, there's not much difference. The versatility of it, to also explain what you saw as being the condition of that vehicle that you saw up there.
I would say almost like new condition. It looks
In my argument,
no rust bubbles, no.
we're looking at 20
I
years,
think
30.
we need to look at that.
I think we'll
Mechanic,
look at
I
it.
think I'm gonna charge the committee. Samara, would you participate in developing the financial part of
I
it?
said I would.
Bruce, would you be willing to share? And if there's other, you're not an elected official, so if you have information from this or anything else.
Get your current
No, I
interest
appreciate it.
Okay,
Just
that's
send me all the details
Well,
And we'll put
Okay.
it on the agenda for the next meeting.
and I'll put it together before the next meeting.
All right.
Good.
Well, I think that, I would love to see you have a truck.
Okay,
I don't. Yes.
The last thing I think too is I think we should consider if we have, I mean, if we have the ARPA money and it's an eligible use of ARPA money, I would strongly support using some of the ARPA money.
Absolutely, yes.
If we decide after an analysis that this is appropriate, the purchase is appropriate.
Right.
well, I think it comes back down to the very, very, very basic thing for this town. What comes first, is roads and safety. And he needs the equipment. That would go a long way to helping him along.
Yeah, but he needs another person too.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, as soon as I find my agenda, my,
Balancing act of expenses.
He's with us. This is the organization.
here it is, here it is.
There may be pictures of frogs in there.
All right, so there's no need to, we're gonna proceed in research and development, research and planning for a vehicle purchase with the capabilities of moving materials. Okay, anything else before we move on to unfinished business? Okay, ARPA funds discussion that was up on the end of the minutes from the draft minutes that we just approved to discuss ARPA funds, but
There's nothing to skip right now.
I don't think we have anything specific.
Yeah.
If anything,
Okay. All right, nothing. All right, storm 4621 is the storm mitigation plans and Putney Mountain work to be completed. Mark, you have you've gotten an indication from Archie that he would be working on the 3 culverts in the next 10 days or so possibly?
Yes,
In which
yes.
case, once you have like give us a heads up, because we have to notify different agencies that you're gonna be closing the roads between like 9 and 4, 8 and 4, or whatever,
Archie thought 7 to 5.
7 to 5.
Yeah.
and how soon will that happen?
They're on a job right now. It sounded like when they finish, they might be in our town. So this could be
Okay, so
two or
could I-
3 days out,
So,
but he's gonna let me know before they get here.
Yeah, so listen, so you guys all realize that there's like way more traffic going over Putney Mountain now?
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah.
I wonder
because
why.
they're up 30.
It's getting better.
In fact, we had someone come up from Brattleboro and said, should I take Route 30 or? Putney Mountain Road.
Everybody is using.
Yeah,
alternate
so
routes
will
now.
we be able, and Paul and I have run into this thing, on Kipling Road, this is not us, this is Dummerston. We got halfway down Kipling Road to Brattleboro and had to turn around and go
They were
back
closed.
because the
Yeah.
road was closed.
No sign when you
No
turn off at each
signage,
west.
no
No,
signage at
no
the beginning of the
signage.
road.
And you know what else they
And
did?
it was from the other side as well.
Yeah, both
Both
sides.
Didn't
sides.
have it.
Nobody
Nothing.
had put up a sign at the opening of the road.
It
And
just says,
I don't
you
want
know,
to follow.
there's a
Betty's
guy,
rule.
there's a guy.
no, what I do is Mark has got a large plywood, it's all painted white, ready to go, correct?
Actually, I purchased 2 brand new.
Oh, you got new ones?
reflective,
Okay.
Road closed ahead of time.
So we'll have road closure signs, we'll have information about the.
Yeah,
time.
as long as that happens, like one at our side and one on their side.
Right, and we notify the fire department, the sheriff's department, the state police, and
Oh,
various
that's
Facebook
good.
pages.
We
as
were
well.
like dumbfounded, like, what?
Since we're kind of bad mouthing Dummerston, I was 2 weeks ago, I was in Keene at Skin Clinic in Keene, and a lady there works in Dummerston, and we've come friendly, and Patty and I were talking to her. And she had well, you know how much they pay east, west, and middle road, she lives right on it. They don't do aprons.
Oh, really? So,
He's had nothing but trouble with going out, he's had issues with damage and stuff, and they won't accommodate her. So I started looking at it, I go down middle road, he said, they don't do aprons.
yeah, it's odd. That's odd. That's not.
That's
standard.
odd, that's
That's the
cheap.
standard, yeah.
Okay.
We continue on with the, Putney Mountain work to be completed, so that's the 3 culverts. We haven't heard anything from the paving people, as far as I know.
You know,
Yeah, should we call them?
Nathan, well, we sent them a contract, so they should be sending that back pretty soon. They got sent, Archie sent back his contract for the.
Okay, when did the
RFP.
basin contract get sent?
Same day that A.S. Clark did. It was,
Okay.
2 Fridays ago.
2 Fridays ago. Who wants to call Basin and say?
I can certainly call
You,
them,
you can do it? Okay,
just to ask them if they have a start date.
yeah, that would be great.
Okay. So the Putney Mountain work to be completed, and the other FEMA work, I think you had gravel delivered on Bennett Road to do the crowning between the Lee property and culvert 13,
correct.
so that's been done.
Yeah, the
Okay.
ground is done.
Man,
We probably, I think we discussed, and just want to clarify in front of everyone that the mitigation of putting in stone inlets at culverts 13 and 14, probably a little overkill for mitigation, even though FEMA offered it, the way it's set up right now has survived the most recent storm in such a way that,
Yeah, and if we were to upgrade it and the cost exceeds the
100%.
100% above what it would cost to do the stone, then there wasn't gonna be any kickback to us.
Right,
Okay, and this is Bennett Road,
Bennett Road on the other side.
which
And is that
frankly,
done?
that's
Bennett
done.
Road is done.
Bennett Road is done, is what I heard. Is
Yeah.
that yes?
I'm going back over to clean the runouts on the new section that's freshly gravelled.
So you're feeling that Bennett Road part is done then,
It's brought back up to
standard,
Uh,
pre-storm conditions.
pre-storm condition.
Okay, so we can say work is completed.
Yeah.
Okay,
What
the
about-
other mitigation project is the Holland Hillside. That's not been started right now because we've been doing catch up on everything else.
We have 2 loads of gravel delivered over there last week for the installation of the new culverts.
Oh, it's been delivered.
Yeah, Archie had his guys deliver the gravel over there and put it on site. It's out of the way, but
Okay.
it's on site. I have the 3 culverts sitting at the town garage. I called about the concrete headers for both ends of this project. They have them in stock, and I made arrangements to have those delivered. So when those get here, I'll be over there installing it.
Okay, so it'll be
Once
next.
that's done, and Putney Mountain culverts are done, and the paving is done,
I do have some stone line ditching to do.
we'll finish on Putney Mountain, but then we'll
The
be
road
done.
was put back, the
FEMA.
ditches were never finished, so.
And is
And
this,
because of the amount of traffic, we may have to close for a day
Again.
or 2. to
is the
finish.
stone line ditching, is that part of FEMA too? Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah, that is part of
Okay.
FEMA reimbursement.
Okay.
We had approximately a half a mile of stone line ditching to complete.
The
Okay.
mitigation.
You know.
Is that linear or both sides of a road? half
No,
mile?
that's linear, all
Oh,
uphill
so-
side of the road. It was where the culverts failed and it ate the road out. The road was put back, the ditches were never reinvented.
Okay, all right, so then the next thing was on item 6, storm 4720, which is the 2023 storm. Mark has been working on damage inventory forms. Once we get registered for the FEMA portal and they come here, we can start putting in some of the data of what we have and getting what we repaired up by Athens Road, and then any of the other sites that you've already, I started to work on. So that's all in the works at this time. So we can move on to item C, unless anybody has any questions.
Yeah.
No, there was something that crossed my mind that I wanted to ask about. And it went away again, so that's okay.
If it comes back, just holler. All right, hazard mitigation committee. Now, when I put hazard mitigation committee, that's to do the hazard mitigation plan. And I'll refer to that as the BRIC grant plan. That's working with Wyndham Regional and Margot Gia. And Stan, she wants to start sometime in August. We can look at some dates or whatever.
She asked for dates in her email. I'm not sure if I sent it along to others on the committee here today or not. But so if we had some idea as to when we might want to meet, she said she'd try to be flexible.
I think now that Oliver is interested, we should reach out to him too and see what, I mean, why don't we compile dates? Because I'll go home and look at my
Okay.
calendar
Okay,
if I can be part of
that
it.
sounds good.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I'd like to look, I don't have mine, because all this is
Yeah,
a
I
new
don't-
page on my
my-
calendar and I'm trying to think of what I have on it.
Yeah, my
Just here and
calendars
there,
are
but not bad.
I refuse to be able to sync my calendars, but
All right, so,
I don't want to make light of this, but there isn't much in a town that doesn't have zoning that is going to change too much from our current plan. So it sounds like a lot of work, but there's only so much
you can do.
information that's available. And when you look at Townsend hazard mitigation plan, there were modest upgrades there. So it's not going to be like recreating the world again.
did we really follow our own mitigation plan since it was developed 5 years ago? I can't recall really.
yeah, where is a copy
planning
of the current one?
Should
If
be
it's not
online.
in that cabinet, I have one on my computer that I can email.
Okay, I'll look in that cabinet
But
next week.
I do think that it's also on, should be on our website.
It probably is.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of our website, is that on our agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay, all right, so we'll get some dates and send them to, I can tell you when I won't have a vehicle, but somebody could pick me up, because I know I have my car to go in the shop, but I'll send you dates that I'm not available.
Okay.
And then Samara or anybody else wants to
Yeah.
send it to Stan, and then Stan, we can set it up with Margot.
Okay.
Okay, and yes, if there's a reorganization of the planning committee and there's new appointees, we do have to vote them in at a select board meeting. So if somebody wants to, if we're gonna appoint
it should be on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, let's put that on the agenda for the next meeting and I'll talk to Barb in between. And
So they would have to meet briefly to agree that he would be their appointee.
yeah, we can probably do something by Zoom or something. We'll do something
Yes.
quick.
Well, and you'd have a brief little agenda that guy would have to post so that that meeting
He
would
can't
be
post
legit.
anything anyway right now, because
But
he
he
could,
put our agenda up.
yeah, but he can't post anything from like extra committees. Oh, that's why he didn't know how to add the energy committee. Never mind.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have yeah, anyway, sorry.
So the planning
Sure.
committee needs to have a brief agenda to just reorganize and then select any different appointees and chairs, and then get that on the agenda for our next meeting. Okay, reorganization plan, webpage redesign, current questions, current website functionality during transition. I was a little concerned that there might be a.
Oh, it'll probably be up until she has the new one ready to.
Right.
I mean, usually how it works, Don, is the developer makes a whole new one and she's on a whole separate platform.
Mhm.
And so that'll be going on while she's developing it and the old one will still stay up.
Okay.
That's usually how it works.
All right, let's talk about the contract. We put it on, or maybe I didn't put it on here, but we talked about what, do we have to have a non-employee agreement with the website developer?
We can send her when I'm thinking. We have it for 2-wire guys, so Judy can probably send it to her. You know, she's a contractor, right?
She's, I think it looks like a sole proprietorship, because there's no.
No, I mean, she's not an employee of
Obviously,
the
she's not
town.
going to be in order to.
So probably we can just do that. Yeah,
Do a what?
we can send her, we'll need to get in order to pay her and everything. Judy's gonna need like the whether she's incorporated or not, and if she's not, she'll have to send her a 1099 anyway. So we'll just have Judy send the standard.
I personally, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I attended again a lunch meeting with VLCT, and the issue, I brought the issue up. I says, we're looking at a service provider, website in particular. And I said, I'm interested in knowing, there were 2 attorneys plus administrator from VLCT online. And I said, I would very much appreciate your thoughts on whether or not for something like that, we should have a contract. I said, basically your model service contract, maybe with modifications for the kind of job that she's going to be performing
Yeah.
her service. And the 2 attorneys looked at each other and they said, of course, we're attorneys and we're going to tell you to have a contract. And somebody from another town, there were 12 town people there, and one lady says, we hired a band for $800 and that turned out to be a nightmare because we didn't have a contract. So so their kind of recommendation is that we, for purposes of some of the other terms and conditions that are part of our normal contract, indemnification, et cetera, and they suggest that we utilize a contract. And thinking about it, I could go personally either way. You know, we do have a current provider of computer services. I don't know whether they're under contract. My sense is they're
Well,
not.
she sent us a contract, didn't she?
She sent us her contract.
Right.
It
So,
doesn't include the stuff that we normally have in
well,
our
then
contract.
what we should do is probably sign her, if we like her contract, then we should engage her, because I looked at her website, and she suggested she used Vernon, and I looked at Vernon's website, and it's so nice.
Yeah, I looked at everything too, and she does a nice job.
So I would suggest we do that and then send her our standard non-employee agreement in a very short form, standard VLCT contract back with it, and ask her, we realize that we have this contract with you, and
Now you have this contract.
and
with
now
us.
you have a contract with us, just something like that. Keep it simple.
I did a contract with the addendum, her stuff as a possibility for this evening. So the question is, I didn't take enough time to do it. There are other things I've been doing. It sounds like we could, as you say, do her contract. And then send our contract and say, your contract is built into our contract, but it has articles that our Vermont League of Cities and Towns has a preference for. Things that are not addressed in your contract, would you have a problem executing?
That's a good approach. I bet you won't.
Sure, sure. So do you want me to sign what you have? I have her,
Well, if you want to, I mean, we can sign it. I brought hers, which I think need your signature on it.
Yeah,
right,
It
And you
might
have
be,
her, yeah.
it might be overkill, but I think that's a good way. We'll cover all the bases.
so what would you want me, I do have hers here.
Oh, yeah, well,
If hers is incorporated, I would sign hers and I would do them both.
All right, so
I mean,
you want me
it's
to
like-
sign that because you've incorporated it?
It's a
Yeah.
suspender and a belt.
there you go.
And she has her, she's extended her contract from till August 20th. She said 60.
30 days.
And the other
30
thing I
The
would,
30 days went to 60 days. She said.
Okay, I've got these 90 degrees to each other. Hers is on top. And
Okay.
the other contract, which builds her in as an addendum A, is on the bottom.
and then the other thing I would mention, I assume that the deposit that was added should be,
It's in the check, the accounts payable. We have a deposit.
I saw that, and was that based on something in her contract?
50%.
She required
Okay, so, yeah,
a signing of the
so
contract.
we should give a copy of that to Melissa.
I emailed it to
ASAP.
Judy and Melissa this afternoon,
Oh, perfect.
her contract, and I asked them, is this sufficient for you? I said,
Yeah,
it's
'cause
not
I-
executed by anybody other than Marjorie, but
Yeah.
it does ask for 50% on contract signing.
Yeah, so we've signed it, so now we should give it back the full.
Give you that
thing
one
and say,
back.
you know, this
Okay.
is
And then,
50%.
Yeah.
Cause I saw Melissa's note, I thought,
because we've already approved all of
there's no
this, but we
invoice, so,
can
but
sign
there
it.
is paperwork, so that's good.
Just sign that.
Okay, good.
Sign that.
There's 2 pages for the select board to sign.
Oh,
The arbitration needs to be by law, separate agreement, and so there's,
Coming around.
yeah,
It's the second one.
and just, you know, if truth be told, you know, you can explain it to her. Generally speaking, our insurance company, the people that
yes.
insist we do this is a governmental agency. So if it seems like overkill to Marjorie, but I bet she's used to it.
I would hope so, or think so, but. You'd probably look her name up on the Secretary of State's
Yeah,
website to see if she in fact is an LLC or incorporated or something else.
She has it. She has it on her.
All she says is code writer. She doesn't say sole proprietorship partner, but she doesn't have LLC or INC after her name.
no,
so-
it doesn't.
So it almost looks like sole proprietorship.
Could be.
Okay, done. Doot, doot. We're 10 minutes early.
Well, I'm glad.
Oh.
No, because we have 2 people here who need to leave at
Yeah.
8:15.
So we
so-
Oh, really?
On quickly here. Reports and updates. Mark, do you have any, highway grants and contracts. Stan?
Yes, yes, let's see, as you know. Let's see, who's got the contract for, oh, here's the contract for AS Clark. Mark is taking care of the 2023 fiscal year grants and aid. Work. So we don't have to create an RFP. Matter of fact, he's almost done with that work. From the discussion we had this morning to be up to date on this.
So, great.
He's progressed along that. If you're up on Hill Road, either taking Kirsch Road or going down Hill Road to the south, you'll see that there's a lot of gravel on the road, which he's kind of, I don't know if you graded it per se or whether you're smoothing it out, but you're in the process of doing that.
Right, yeah, the issue was the road was flat surface. Water was actually running down tire tracks. It needed, gravel to create a berm so that the water steps into the pit. And then the second half of the project will be the stone lining of the runouts. So I have another couple days of cleaning out the runouts to ensure that the water goes away from the road and is refined through the 5 to 8 inch ditch that we applied.
So, yeah, doing stuff with the machine.
Yeah.
So that will all go well. We have the next, the 2024, which is only. It's less than the 12.5. I think it's 10,000 for that. And we've got till September 30th of 2024 to address that. So we don't even need to deal with that right now, other than knowing it exists.
And this will bring us up to percentage of segments that need to be completed by a certain date.
Yeah, yeah. And so those are two. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that in terms of highway loans that we're dealing with. I can't think of anything. The next question is contracts. And I have here a contract that needs to be dated and signed that was sent to A.S. Clark 2 Fridays ago. Win Clark executed it. He signed the W-9s. He signed a non-employee agreement. He signed the hold harmless agreement. And what we need to do is same 2 pages that we just signed on the contract for Mrs. Ray. We need to insert today's date, and then we have those 2 pages to sign. I can send him the copies of the signed pages for his records. So if I put in the 2nd of August in a pen.
I'm gonna get my food.
Oh, man.
And
I got 5 of them now.
I heard 5.
That's
Oh, right, that's right. We're old enough to get as many boosters.
I know, you
Well, I didn't get it in the fall because Grace Cottage only had Pfizer, and I got all Moderna, so got this year.
Oh, yeah, we went to rest.
Oh, yeah, they were up here a
We
while
went
back a
somewhere,
lot. I
yeah.
didn't tap into it, but
But
now.
we had to wait until we came back. That's when we went, to talk.
these are the 2 signature
Grace Cottage
pages
got
that require signature.
Okay.
You'll be feeling better tomorrow, I hope.
I don't come around now, the headaches is
You want some
right
more water?
here.
Yeah, I had a hard time with those.
The headache, I thought it's twice I reacted, oh, I don't know about you, out of all the 5, but this one, boy, the headaches. Oh my God, I never get headaches all day. And then I had to go to Winter Solid Waste with Monster. No, not the Monster from Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
I will go home and copy those pages into the original that's on the computer. I will then bring this paperwork back either tomorrow or Friday and leave it in the selectman's cabinet along with the other contracts to be filed away.
The contract's copied to the treasurer too.
Yes, I send I think I've already sent both of these contracts to the treasurer and the assistant treasurer for their records. It would be the signature pages that I would be sending to them as well as when.
You can tell I used to be treasurer.
Yes. So with that we've just done, that this is basically finalized. We have nothing further in documentation to follow up other than waiting for them to do the job. And with that, I think, unless we get onto other topics, I'm done with my section.
Okay. All right, Bruce, Sunny Lane, no,
Yeah.
Susie's Little Peanuts daycare meeting.
I just want to say something else before I get into this.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with select board stuff. Very quickly, not even a minute. Patty and I have been going to Marble Music Festival every week since the middle of July, 3 times. And it's been great. Ride there 2:30, it's done by 4:30, and we get all the brochures all the time. So just bring one, I get one to Vanessa.
Thank you.
John showed interest in, and we couldn't be, it's been great. This guy, Jonathan Bissett, plays the piano, played solidly for an hour with no freaking music. I walked out, not a flaw. But anyway, classical music's a beautiful thing if everything relax. And I get my tickets first week, and we've gotten row 2 and row 3 tickets because as soon as they opened up in March, they're like $80 for a pair. For the whole season. just wanted to share that with you if anybody's interested. I put that in there for people to look at.
Thank you, okay.
Okay, now on to the important shit stuff. Okay, I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna start with the round schoolhouse first. As long as I'm feeling okay tomorrow, Mark and I have tentatively had an agreement to, he's gonna come over and get my 43-year-old beautiful toy built.
Or you're gonna rototill it this week,
And we'll
okay,
do it tomorrow.
all right, cause then
Okay.
I'll get the mulch and the fabric out then, yeah,
Okay, that's it for the round schoolhouse.
okay, check.
Brookline Meeting House, I had two things I wanted to speak to about that. One of them has done with the party, and one of them was that mold thing that you sent through that I'm getting real nervous about. So I'm gonna make a suggestion, we don't approve any more payouts or anything to that church until we have a sense of priority. It seems like we're all over the place with spending money on that. We didn't have the painting go through that last year. We have a bit of a delay on the foundation work. I think just it needs to be tightened up a little bit, is I guess what I'm trying to say in a nice way.
I read it too, and I had the exact same reaction.
I am.
Plus, what I also thought is we should maybe take the initiative and communicate to the Meeting House Committee
Okay,
that with the work the Energy Committee is doing, that some of this may come under doable stuff, that we don't have to, that will get paid for if we get assessment money, not we're gonna do a separate assessment already that's not gonna cost anything.
correct.
And, well, all right.
You're
it's our-
talking $4,000.
Yeah, no, I'm talking
Oh.
beyond the $4,000.
Oh, you're talking about,
The next step is the building assessments,
building
and we
assessment.
put the Meeting House on for assessments.
It's
And
true.
so when I looked at this mold remediation, which to me seemed very vague,
Ooh,
and it's also based on hours and time, and that's like an
Yeah.
open-ended contract. I did not like it.
I have some questions.
I don't mind, I have
Yes.
resigned from the Brookline Meeting House Committee as of the first.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I
don't
saw
mind,
that.
however, contacting Leanne through email, I know she's on vacation this week, to tell her that we're not going to follow through on the mold remediation assessment, is that what I'm hearing? And that
And there may be other other funds,
avenues and
avenues for
Just-
funding this.
Was this related to the 18,000? Is this entirely different people? And where these JNR or whatever their name was?
This is through the assessment of John Sacacco.
Oh, is that the guy that?
$500, we got the grant
Yeah.
for the. Yes, this is the man.
And he advised this architect to
Yes,
come in with a sheet.
yeah, Stan?
I
Yeah.
thought that this fellow was to provide the same building analysis that the other guy provided.
What was his name?
Lewandowski,
Lewandowski.
Jan.
Jan Lewandowski. Now,
That's what.
where did that report go? Or
It's
is
not
that
been
the
done
report?
yet. It has not been.
That looks like a sales job to me.
This
more
is,
than-
yeah, this is.
Yes, it
There was
does.
that reaction too.
And I concur with every statement been made around the table.
I met with that man when he came
Right.
over to the meeting house, and I think I was
That
impressed.
was not the purpose of that
Yeah.
look see. It was, I mean, that was one of the aspects, but not the whole thing.
Right, now,
Yeah, and additionally, we've done mold remediation on that building, and so until we get to the,
I don't understand the
until we get to the
difficulty of
roof.
understanding how to get rid
It's
of
gonna-
mold in a big building. Am I being stupid here? I don't think so. And I was unlucky it was by accident, that
Okay.
I wasn't invited to the
but I
$18,000.
we're supposed to be in the loop for all of
I
this.
know,
Okay,
that's been straightened out, I got that,
okay.
but still, I didn't
So
see
no-
what the last person that goes, because they walked through the whole building, I wasn't there, I would have liked to have seen that. But anyway,
Okay,
okay, I'll move on.
So no more. Okay.
Oh, one more thing about the church during the party that concerned me. And I was sitting towards the back with kids going up into the balcony and bending over the balcony.
Ooh,
I think what we should do, my suggestion, is a sign on the door
I did have a sign made for nobody upstairs.
or whatever, under 16, because they were hanging right. Takes one little filthy.
Oh, God.
And
Yeah.
we're getting,
Oh,
I
my
think that's
God.
like a 15-foot drop,
Yeah.
or
no,
12,
that-
15-foot
Yeah,
drop.
that would not have been pretty.
No, it wouldn't have. That would have totally ruined that whole day.
Balcony
Yeah.
liability.
Yep, okay, now the daycare.
So I thought this
Yeah,
daycare, that we decided they were gonna come to a select board meeting, but there wasn't gonna be
We
a
changed it.
special meeting.
Oh,
We
It
changed,
would not
sorry.
have been a form that
Okay,
would have made it.
What?
And so you're gonna.
what'd you say, Stan?
It would have been extended, as it is, it almost went 45
Oh,
minutes.
No.
okay.
It was an
Okay,
hour
got
and
it.
35 minutes.
Hour and 35 minutes, okay,
You're
it was
good.
extended.
We were with them an hour and
There's
35
nothing
minutes.
that would have been reasonably resolved.
Okay,
Yeah, I realized after what we talked about that this wasn't gonna be resolved in a 10-minute discussion, even 20 minute
so
discussion.
let's get to it.
I'm working on it.
So they have to leave, that's what
They
you
have
said.
to-
I you guys
We can
feel
make
like
this
12
shorter.
minutes, I'm almost done. Okay. We had this meeting for an hour and 35 minutes, let's say this, and you can interject some of the things that were discussed. First of all, we made a point clear the deviation of responsibilities between us, me, Mark, and them. Anything I do, and I just did something, they understand now, if I do something that isn't a part of the responsibility part, because she threw it at me, Olivia, well, you've done it before, like change the light bulbs. Well, you have to understand, I did, we did it, I did it, we did it, the town did it, by the goodness of our heart. This isn't a responsibility of the town. So we talked about this, made a point clear then, and I just took away all that plastic behind the building today, took down the wood and solid waste, only cost $20 because I already have a permit. It was no big deal, I get my money back from, more than happy to help when I can. They do understand that I don't do any more work on the building anymore. So I also, it took what I thought was an emergency situation and covered a heat duct that was exposed, the cap was off of it, of the hot water baseboard, because they were putting kids right there, and they were complaining, oh, we don't have a cap on it. I went over there, with some nice rigid cardboard,
Great.
and got it all set, and so Mark doesn't know this yet, but I'm gonna have him very easily retrofit a piece of metal to replicate the end cap that's missing where I went. I don't have any clue. Maybe you can ask Coda, because they're in there for 21 visits a year before last. Which leads me into another thing. Coda's coming on. I'm trying to speed along. I guess you can notice. The 17th, they are going to drain the water from the air exchangers in the basement up top. So we'll never have that issue again. Done. Let me see what else. We basically, I should probably go into more about what went on with that discussion. They said that they've been in the last 6 months, $30,000 in the hole.
That's nuts.
I would refrain from that kind of a
Yeah.
disclosure in public.
Oh, I'm wrong.
Okay,
That's what she said.
don't put
Strike
that in
that.
the minutes.
Don't put it in there. She said that though.
Yeah, but we don't need to go there.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
whatever, it's not that important really, but what the important part was that she also said almost in the same breath that we have every intention of re-signing the lease, or recommitting to the lease at the end of next year. Let me see, what else?
They understand the lease and the letter I sent.
Yes, they couldn't argue. You were so specific with what they want to do next time for the lease, is they'll want to sit down and discuss the lease again. But Mr. Nova was under the, after we had a little talk afterwards, under the feeling that they thought that they would, I'm not gonna use your words, I was hugely paraphrasing, that that Olivia was given the intention that she wanted to have the rent decrease next time. That was what your feeling was.
There was expressed a connection between the fact that we had spent a lot of money on the building to date to bring it up to make up for all the neglect that it had received in the past. And that now we had spent that money, there's no need for the town to maintain the level of the rental fee that we've been increasing by. So it was implying that they were expecting a reduction in the rent fee.
I think they're missing.
And so I mentioned to them that the costs that were incurred by the town in no way influences what the lease payment is. It was purely a matter of market rent. And Bruce elaborated on the fact that he had conversed with a real estate broker about what was appropriate and emphasized the fact that they currently are not paying what is market rent, they're paying below market rent. So I think any concept of getting any reductions in the immediate future is no longer a concept they might be gravitating toward.
There's also, this one point has come up twice. Several years ago or so, Olivia said it, and Stephanie asked me at this meeting. Does the rent money have to go back into, the lease money have to go back into the building? And the answer to that is no. And they understand it completely. So everything that Stan has to say, plus that thrown in as well. So it was a good exchange.
Good.
I thought it was a really good. Mark?
I just wanted to say, they should be seeing a reduction in the heat bill.
They
They
did
already have.
acknowledge that they are experiencing a reduction. I did have a sense, frankly, that there was a little bit of contentiousness there. I had the clear impression that if there's a way of reducing either responsibilities or the lease fee, they would certainly like to have that done. But that was dealt with tactfully and indicated that that is not going to happen. I think there was a little bit of negativeness mildly to their receipt of explanations, reminding them of what the lease in fact says. And they, after we indicated what is their responsibility and what is ours, near the very end of the meeting, they asked about 3 different things. They started down a path of, well, we have a railing that was left over from the prior tenant that is not in good repair. Is that something that's their responsibility or something that's our responsibility? And not even listening to the other stuff, because now that you're right, I remember looking at the clock saying, God, we've been here almost an hour and a half.
35 minutes.
I wasn't clear about wanting them to elaborate on what it was, so I said, look, neither Bruce nor myself are here to pinpoint specific things. If you've got issues that you
Email,
are concerned
yeah,
about,
yeah.
email it to us, which is what they did. I don't know if you all got this, I guess you did.
Yeah.
So you maybe had a chance to look at it.
Exactly.
Nothing great. What's that list of things that I
Okay.
asked them to email? to us?
I'll answer it directly. I went over and looked at it, and I was under the feeling when we rebuilt the stairs that the railings would hold up for on infant. No, one actually broke up from rock. So I've already told Mark's gonna go, he's gonna change all 4 railings to each, the north door and the south door, because they're old and cracked and they're gonna eventually go, and it's really nominal kind of stuff. And each railing takes about 3 minutes to replace, so it's not a big expense.
Now you're
I don't
being,
know the answer to this one.
yeah,
but
they
I'm
were
listening.
copying what you were saying, Alexa
Okay,
was.
okay. Okay,
There-
so what you're saying is no to the 3.
No. No, what I did was,
It's been fixed.
I was going to be fixed.
Did they know that this is this a temporary in your opinion, or is it?
It's a permanent fix.
It's, I mean, a permanent fix,
No,
but
she
does it,
understand, no, they understand.
that this is the one time only?
Yeah, but you're not being clear to the way I stand. If it's related to the building and it's something that breaks on the building, I believe it's our responsibility.
Like a dishwasher, a toilet, a
toilet.
handrail.
I don't know about a dishwasher.
Right.
We have a dishwasher in
Before
there,
you
breaks. I thought we already fixed it. I thought we already. paid for it.
We spent $100 on a drain one time.
All right,
That was
well,
part of-
it's
that was-
plumbing,
that was here.
electrical.
We got electrical, potable water, but things like changing lights is not really our responsibility
No.
at
It
all.
says that in
You
the
know-
lease.
Yeah, and
Yes,
and
it's
and you've already
spelled
said
out.
that tonight.
Okay.
Is there, what about these 3 items?
Name them. Name them.
Wallpaper.
Splitting rail going into the gym.
That, I don't know what that is, she's gonna show me tomorrow, but the wallpaper, we're gonna look at it and see. But that I don't see is where that's our responsibility, unless, and the other one was.
You got this too, right?
Yes.
Okay,
And the third.
here, you can read it.
Wallpaper, the broken railing and a splinter. So this is all negligible stuff, not even.
So you don't mind doing it again and again? You think the
No,
select
no,
board is
no,
okay
no,
doing
no.
it?
I
Well,
can hear-
we're almost quarter after.
Well, wait a minute, you're cutting me off. I look at it as a case-to-case basis. If I think we can do something reasonable and I wanna do it, or Mark's willing to do it, that's one thing, but they do understand the differentiation and responsibilities. You're uncomfortable with it, but I've been doing this for a long time and,
I
hey,
think engine rail is something that we need to fix if
Yes.
it's broken,
yes.
yeah, in the
Yes.
building.
I think-
It's a safety.
And another thing is,
Like a
you know,
door
like the end
knob.
cap on the radiator, this is something that is a part of the building, that's our responsibility, as far as I'm concerned. But not changing light bulbs, not doing all this other crap. But last point, we have minimized the maintenance in this building to the point of nothing, which is a good thing. So basically, when it comes down to it, the building's done, except for certain instances like when cast iron pipes blow, but
Okay.
nothing we can do about that.
I did notice there's a dumpster in the back tonight.
Another one?
Brand new one, a big one.
Really?
Yeah, but after we gotta clean out. a lot
More
of
stuff inside?
Yeah,
What did you,
it's bigger than that
yeah,
table.
but before we go, I got.
Really? So they got it today.
Before-
So I was gonna say, go ahead.
Oh, that's a question.
Before we leave,
Is there anything on this agenda that you would like to discuss very quickly before you go?
yeah, I'd like to know what's going on with the mower. Is it come or?
The mower was being, the attachment for that had been manufactured to fit the excavator was being manufactured in Pennsylvania. And it should be delivered this week, Alex. I was told.
I'm waiting for a phone call to say it's coming in, because I have to be here to accept it.
I'll call them as well.
Okay,
And I bring it up because when we were at the town party, there was an individual who was complaining about the road.
are they ever
no
gonna
more.
mow the roads?
So,
But that's,
Yeah.
yeah, I heard that too, but
Yeah, and
It'll be
the,
the last time there'll be a complaint.
anything
let's
else?
hope so.
one
We
quick
know
thing.
we're after him.
I sent everybody the sample of Melissa's
Yes.
Yes, saw that.
reorganized chart of accounts. And on next meeting, she has gotten, Nemrick has said, once she gives them the go-ahead, they can reorganize her accounts. In a much nicer fashion. But it's to the tune of $300, which I sounded quite reasonable to
So
me.
what, I'll put it on the next agenda to vote.
That's what I mean.
Chart of accounts.
The chart of accounts reorg, yeah.
Okay.
And basically what this does, our accounting numbers are so out of date. That when you add new accounts, you can't always put them in sequential order. This, here, Mark, I'll give you mine, you can see, this is just 1 and 2.
Thank you.
And it'll give us more flexibility to add sub-accounts and to group certain expenses together.
Fabulous.
And a
Okay.
lot more detail. Okay, good.
Have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Have a good night, folks.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay,
Good night.
good night, 15.
You can know that 8:15 that Samara and Paul excused themselves from the meeting for previous engagement. Okay. All right, so the Stunning Lane Daycare meeting review went well. The meeting house, no mold disturbance. And the church and around schoolhouse, you're gonna rototill, and then I'll schedule the mulch delivery. Anything else?
Nothing, we're about done, we're done with, other than the wood out back, which you're gonna get to when we get to it. That building's done and controlled, now we have no maintenance, basically, now we take the air handlers down there. So that's a beautiful thing, and go ahead.
And then your next is on Energy
Yep.
Commission. I know you have a meeting on August 18th, correct?
Yes, but I also talked to Katie Buckley the other day, and she would like, and I haven't expressed this to the Energy Committee, that she and Ella, she said her name was Ellen Bonnie, the two people want to meet with our Energy Committee to see what we want to do as far as things to spend money. She's gonna guide us. I spent a lot of time talking with her in the last week, and this woman knows a lot. She even did the entire Irene FEMA work back in Guilford before she went up with VLCT. So she's got an expansive background but she's gonna help us in concert with Wyndham Regional to identify things that we can do with the Energy Committee in terms of energy upgrades to the buildings.
Excellent.
But that's all I have now because we haven't had a meeting.
Okay. All right, then move on to my report. I did get a phone call last week when I was away from the animal control officer in Brattleboro, actually, that there was a reported dog bite where a neighbor's kid went over to a neighbor's house and it was bitten. Haven't gotten anything facts from the health department, from the hospital. I don't have any of the other details. We've been texting back and forth and I have to give her a phone call or email. I'm gonna try to find out why she was called and not me, because the vets all call me and the police usually call me, but so she got called. Hopefully, maybe we'll be able to add into the budget that she would be our ACO in future years. The next item was the town party on the July 26th. It was a great success. There was a total donation, cash donation received from various sources, including raffles of $2,600, including $1,900 from the musicians themselves. So that went very, very well.
They donated $1,900.
They had Mr. Cutler gave a stipend to the musicians for travel. And $1,900 of that stipend was returned to the donation to the church. So
Wow.
very,
Okay.
very
Are
generous.
they coming back? When are they coming back? That's a good discussion.
All right, town party. I just also wanted to say, I know under the email, but I'm gonna bring it up here. Guy sent me this. And it says, not sure if I've seen this, and I didn't see it. It says, Dear Dot and the Brookline community, from Rachel Shields, Brattleboro, from Brattleboro Development Corp. It says, I'm reaching out to invite you to submit the Round Schoolhouse Memorial Garden Project and the Meeting House Restoration Project for inclusion in the annual update of the 2019-20 to 2023 Southern Vermont Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. You may not think of your project as economic development, but it is exactly things like this that work together to add up to a vibrant regional economy. Projects can be physical improvements to facilities and infrastructures, community programs from summer camps to workplace initiatives, in any stage from planning to implementation, previously submitted, updates are valued, so on. So having your project listed in the CEDS is a great way to make sure potential funders and collaborators know about it. While the inclusion of the project in the CDES does not guarantee any future investment, it does indicate to federal, state, and philanthropic funders that the project is aligned with the regional economic and community development goals. This annual process also ensures regional and statewide organizations have a clear understanding of Southern Vermont projects and works underway. It's required, it's likely already on hand. If you're seeking or planning to seek grant funding for your project, this form can be saved to come back to later. So I'm going to follow up on it and let you know about just registering our to build the Round Schoolhouse Garden and the Meeting House updates in a program. Maybe there might be some additional funding, but that came in for that. Also the town party, the board graciously granted a budget of $1,000 to cover some of the expenses. I believe I went $16 over budget, but I do have everything has been set up. I think we spent $1,019.46.
Live, you said.
So there you go.
Pretty good guesstimation.
Yes, pretty good guesstimation. I was pleased with that. Also wanted to make note to the committee that the letter that went out after that didn't get included with the tax bill, but went out online and through Julie, looking for donations to the cemetery committee. We did receive 2 donations for a total of $200 for the cemetery committee, which I will let them know as well. So that was also something
You
good.
staying on that too, or are you gonna?
Right, I'm elected to that one right now.
Oh, that's right.
So I'll probably,
Was that a next year plan?
it's like 2 years, yeah.
Oh.
So budget 2022-23 review, at some point, we should put this on an agenda, maybe not for August, but I do want to when Samara's here, look at where we're at and how close we did come to our plan. And then talk about in the future, the 2024-2025 budget development. So that would be to be done at another meeting, but I just wanted to say that that's something that's in our way.
Yeah, the two of them are working on it pretty good.
Yes.
Anyway,
Angstrom Cemetery. I also, talking about, Samara wanted to talk about, the assistant, select board assistant and so on and so forth. And I said, I'm very grateful that you do what you do for the building and what you've been doing for grants and contracts, and Paul's doing the 911 and Samara's keeping an eye on the budget. If we could and if we have other volunteers like Oliver that's getting involved in the planning, that's what makes light of the work.
Yeah.
As far as additional secretarial work, I was thinking maybe every 6 weeks or so, we could ask Sherry Green to come back and refile things that we have put in that, because she knows the file system.
why not?
So that,
That's
and
pretty
maybe
novel.
for kind of thing, but again, sure, if we want to talk about hiring someone, I don't know if $4,000 a year is gonna really
Did she move back into town?
No.
She's going back.
make somebody, no, she's in Townsend,
Oh, she's.
by Grace, not far from Grace Cottage.
Uh-huh.
All right, so that's neither here nor there. At this time, I'll go back to Highway Supervisor. Mark, do you have anything you'd like to share with us? I know we've already talked about it.
Yeah, no, just working on all the existing projects, and they're going good at this point.
Stan, I know you had some items on your list. We still have some time we can talk about it that you had emailed, and I didn't get it into the agenda. It wasn't a votable thing, but yeah, let's run through that list.
I think the most of these things we've pretty much touched on. The only one that I think really probably may come to be, which isn't really on this list, is that we should be getting that $110,000 check tomorrow or Friday to go over and buy the four-wheeled excavator. So the question is, since we're on a per diem, is it something I'm willing to take a trip over and sign documents? I don't know if anyone else is, you as a select board chair, to save as many dollars as possible so that we walk out with the certificate, the purchase and sale agreement, and the form that we need to file the next day, if not that same day, at the Registry of Motor Vehicles to have the lien noted for the state and have ownership of it. And,
Sure. we can certainly-
so I didn't know if
I'll make
anyone's
myself
interested in doing that. It's gonna involve the difference, the 62.5, to be available in a check in addition to the check we're gonna get from the state, of course. So I don't know if we need to give the treasurer and assistant treasurer forewarning that this is what we like to do, or should we make it Monday or just mail it? I just am looking for ideas and thoughts on what everyone else is thinking.
I did talk to Alta, and they said that they would adjust the billing to the date that we are able to purchase, since we're there, they were not offered, we were not accepting their financing.
Mhm.
So we could call Bobby up
Okay.
and say, we have it here, we're gonna,
Are
I don't know
they,
how to do it. But
Okay,
are they gonna give us the discount up front? How's that?
I noticed that the new Alta bill is in the treasurer book. It must have come today for the next month's payment. So they will adjust
The cost.
the cost
Top end.
based upon the date of title transfer.
yeah,
So when you're saying it's a day, you're saying going up to Alta to deliver the check?
yes, and come back with all the paperwork. So, and not trust the mail that it might get lost or something like
I
that.
could take a ride and do that with you.
And,
Nothing.
and not only that, but I haven't figured out what the per diem is, but it'll save whatever that per diem
3
cost
days
is. And
of
if that's,
travel.
that check, if that request for payment, I don't know what day that crosses. But if we can hit it on an even date and not even have to deliver a check for 6,500 to then negotiate the rebate or figure out the rebate at the table there, that would be really ideal.
All right, so so where are we at? So we're like, Once the check comes in, Guy will call you.
I hope so. I will email him tonight.
All right,
To say
call-
when it
call
does.
Then
let
you
me
call
know.
me, and then we'll make our phone calls,
See what's
we'll do
best.
what we have to do and get our ducks in a row.
Because it's not,
Okay.
this is not 172.5. It's less.
Okay, well, whatever it will be, we wanna make sure.
It should be $9,000 less. I think we got that right.
Yeah, so it's 70% of 13,000.
right.
Yeah,
It should be
so-
$9,000 less. than it.
Okay, so we'll be good then. All right, yes, I have.
So,
what
so
else?
that basically is the only thing.
Yeah, and then-
We already talked about the dump truck. We already talked about the planning committee. We already talked about the contracts. You're calling Baz and we already have
Yeah.
Clark's. The website we already dealt with, and we know how we're gonna deal with the contracts. The FEMA supervisor, I don't know if I emailed everybody. I thought in one of the meetings I did. And that guy was, I won't say useless, but it was obvious he was a face of FEMA, so that FEMA had someone that had gone around and talked with all the towns. He had no specific knowledge virtually about anything. What he did offer was the upgrade, the lifting of the house 2 feet possibly, and moving utilities to the first floor if it's a scenario where the basement, it floods repeatedly and that's where they are. So that was probably among his most helpful things. He didn't really have, I asked him about the GPS coordinates. He didn't know who was supposed to take them. So, it just, any specific question I asked based on any knowledge that I had of FEMA, he was not able to answer.
Okay,
So, and what he did outline for a general process very much parallels what Kim Kardashian made known yesterday.
that's not a real name.
It's really
That's the name we think of.
Karanecki.
Karanecki.
And she's,
Yeah, I
yeah,
Can't say it.
she's a sharp lady, that's for sure. But anyway, that's
Another
all I
one isn't.
Excellent.
figured out early, that'd be great.
Any other topics or discussions from the select board at
It's
this
10
time?
o'clock. Hurry up, we got 35 seconds.
Okay, all right, next we'll go on to communications.
We don't need that.
Okay, we do have the following here. I do need to read to you a couple of things. I'd like to get into the record that there is an error and omission certificate that needs to be recorded for the town of Brookline. The DeSocio, Michael and Susan span 099-031-10120 has been reduced to $800
Taxes.
for the removal of a camping platform from the parcel. It no longer exists as per the owner. And so their assessment has been reduced by $800. So we need to sign off. It has been signed by the lister, and then we will sign this. 3 of us at least.
Well, it has to be recorded
camper gets-
in the front of the grand list that's produced by
The
the
camper
district.
gets taxed?
They had a camping platform for a
Oh.
year. And they took it out. And so it's been updated on the form.
So how much detail do I need to?
Just that we acknowledge an error and omission certificate for the Michael and Susan DeSocio's residence span. A reduction of $800.
So it's Michael and Susan's.
DE, capital SOCIO.
Is that
Sweet.
B or B?
D as in David.
What's this? What's this?
Okay. Also wanted to do.
Tax bill.
Oh, tax time.
Yeah. Oh, this is notes from somewhere, never mind. The town of Putney has noticed an agenda for a hybrid or physical Putney Planning Commission. They're having a, on Thursday, August 24th at 6:30 to 8:30 at Putney Town Hall. I guess they're going over their, town plan, at 6:30. draft for their 2023 town plan overview by the commissioners will be presented that night. And so we got an invitation as an joining town.
Oh,
And I also got an email or a copy from Guy Tanza that Vermont has municipal planning grants up to $30,000 or if you work with another municipality, up to $45,000. I'm not did Guy email everybody this or just me? Barbara Board, oh no, he sent it to the planning commissioners as well, never mind. So we all received this for the planning people so that they have that information, that was email. And regular mail, I haven't seen it, oh, regular mail was the A.S. Clark and Sons contract and a return receipt for the documents that you sent to the state. So that was all. The agenda for the next meeting would be to vote on the reorganization of the chart of accounts, to look at any appointments for the planning commission,
discuss the truck.
to truck. That's the third day. I don't know, fourth, is there any other things, Well, try to figure it out.
Hopefully Bass and Brothers will sign the contract.
Okay, contracts. Okay, and anything else, we will bring it up closer to that date. All right, I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting,
Second.
8:34 PM exactly. Thank you very much.
We're gonna stop recording. You want to stop recording? Yes, I'm sure.
Recording stopped.
We have the meeting.